So welcome everybody to this latest Macklin'S Take YouTube episode with me, Andy Clarke and Matt Macklin. And today we are talking Joshua Buatsi and the announcement that he is going to team up with a new trainer in Virgil Hunter. We heard whispers about this on Monday. Our Sky colleague Andy Scott had the scoop for this, and true professional that he is, when I asked him to tell me off the record who it was before the official announcement, he wouldn't. So I had a guess. My guess was John David Jackson. Matt's guess was Virgil Hunter. No word of a lie. That was the first thing he sent me on WhatsApp. And your initial reaction?
I don't know. I suppose a surprise move, even though I guessed it, because I've heard a few things. That's why I guessed it. No other reason. Look, I suppose like anything, there's pros and cons. You look at Virgil Hunter, very experienced guy, very experienced trainer, knowledgeable. He's not going to suit everyone. Will he suit Buatsi? Yeah, I think personality-wise, they will, definitely. From what I know, I think that they'll suit in that sense. The move to America, it's always an interesting one. I've done it several times, so I know that the positives, I know the pros and the cons. You're going to get sparring out there. Probably, I'm not saying you can't get it here, but you're definitely going to get it there. There's a level of intensity. A lot of the times it's not in-house sparring. It's guys from other gyms coming down. A lot of the times you get a gym over there. I'm not sure if this is the case with Virgil, but certainly the wild card was Gleason's is these. The top rank is you'll have several trainers working out of this gym. And you're mixing and spar. So it's not like we're all with Joe Gallagher. We're all mates. And we'll bounce in and kind of do a bit of sparring where it's not quite that level of intensity. They're fights with 16-ounce gloves on a lot of the time. So there is an intensity. I think there's only so much of that kind of sparring is beneficial before it starts becoming you're leaving it in the gym. That said, again, back to Virgil Hunter. I haven't heard those stories with Virgil Hunter. I think he's more of a tighter ship. So. Like I say, I haven't trained to do it, Virgil, so I can't give an expert opinion on it. But I think Josh is getting to a point. I mean, again, we're on the outside looking in. He'd obviously been with Rob McCracken as an amateur up at Crystal Palace GB, but his training seemed to be a bit split. And I think maybe he's at the stage now where he needs that focus on him, which is understandable. I think if I was in his position, I'd want the same. Getting the right trainer, getting the right fit isn't always easy, as I can tell you. I've bounced around a few because, there's a lot of things to take into account. Who else is Virgil Hunter training at the minute? I'm not sure. I don't know that answer. But if it was, let's say, in the time when he was training Andre Ward, obviously he's not now, but he was training a big name American fighter who's got a fight in America, and Joshua Buatsi's boxing back in the UK, is he going to come back for 2 weeks to the UK? Because you'd want to be coming back 2 weeks from the west coast of America with the 8-hour time difference. You need it. So is Virgil Hunter going to come with him for 2 weeks? How's he going to be with the jet lag? Everyone takes it differently. There's a lot of things to factor in. Is he going over to? I think it's the Bay Area, just outside San Francisco, where Virgil Hunter is. If he goes over there, is he going to be for a month? Is he going to be 6 weeks? Is he going to be 10 weeks? I know Buatsi is quite linear, quite. Stuck in his ways that he wants 10 and 12 weeks. And, there was, and I don't know this for second hand, but he got offered to box on a couple of cards and, 6 weeks wasn't enough. So, is this someone that wants 10 weeks with his trainer? Now 10 weeks out in San Francisco, you're a long way from home and there's an 8-hour time difference. Do you know what I mean? Are you going out on your own? Are you bringing people with you? If you are bringing people with you, are you renting a house? You're renting a house for 10 weeks, you're hiring a car, you're paying food. It's expensive. There's a lot of things to factor in, and you won't know this until he goes out there and does it, I suppose. So, I think you do the first fight, you see how you go. But I think from a personality point of view and a knowledge point of view, I think he could have done a lot worse than pick Virgil Hunter.
So I'll just fill in some background on some of the things you mentioned there. So basically, Virgil Hunter, as I understand it at the moment, trains Suleiman Sissoko, who's another AJ boxing fighter at roughly the same kind of stage of his career as Josh, a bit behind him, but not that far. And also Mario Barrios, who we saw win that WBA regular title against Batir Akhmedov on the undercard of Errol Spence against Sean Porter. I think that's it. I think that's it. So as you said before, he does run quite a tight ship. He's never really had a big stable. He's chosen to focus on just a handful of fighters. So that's good.
Yep.
They met first at the AJ Ruiz fight in June 2019. Had a chat, continued chatting, I think, a little bit after that. And he's been over there quite a bit since early last year. He's staying in the Bay Area, and the gym's not that far away in Oakland. So those things kind of add up. And as you said, the previous situation was not ideal, split between Sheffield and Mark Gillespie in London. Mark, who was his old amateur coach, took out a pro license when Josh turned pro. He just wants what is best for Josh. So he's that kind of a person. So I don't imagine that would have been acrimonious in any way. I'd be amazed if it was. It reminds me of the situation we had with Luke Campbell, where Luke was kind of split between Sheffield and Hull, where he was training with Mick Bromby, I think. And then he decided, I've got to commit more, maybe, and went over to Jorge Rubio.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I suppose when they're it's a funny one, because up in Sheffield they've got everything in house. They're spoiled almost, really. It's this fantastic facility, and they've got everything under one roof. They're comfortable up there. They've got their digs. They know all the lads, know all the coaches. There's a lot of talent up there. Certainly good sparring, but certainly the levels that he's stepping up to now, Buatsi, he's not a million miles off fighting for a world title fight. I don't think. I just think he needs a few good right fights, and he's more or less there. So it's he has kind of got to really kind of lock in now and get his team and solid together, and everyone be pulling in the same direction rather than piecing it together from different sources. He's got to get everyone on the same page. Is Mark going to go out there with him?
I don't think so, as I understand it.
Okay, well, I'm sure he'll tick over when he's back here anyway with Mark, because like you say, I think they're genuinely good friends, aren't they? So, and I'm sure we could go up to Robert in Sheffield anytime we wanted. I know Robert's not that kind of guy, do you know what I mean? I'm sure that door would always be open to him. So, but yeah, look, Virgil Hunter, certainly experienced, been at the top, been in some massive fights, very experienced, very knowledgeable, mild-mannered guy as well. So I think personality-wise, they'll get on. Yeah, hopefully, I hope he does, because I think Joshua Buatsi, we speak highly of him all the time. He's someone that I believe, and that light heavyweight division is tough, but I think he is the real deal, and I think he can mix with any of those guys. I think he's just he's a few of the right fights, like a couple of learning fights now, a couple of maybe former world champions that are just on the slide a little bit, that can give him a bit of experience, teach him a few tricks, but not good. They're not good enough to beat him. He's got that freshness now, but they're the sort of. He's only a few of those fights off, I think, challenging for a world title.
Yeah, agreed. He's got a fight coming up before too long. It'll be interesting to see who they get for him, because one thing they have struggled with is that kind of bridging fight. There have been names in the mix for a while, and it hasn't quite happened. And as you said, ideally he would have one before he challenged for a world title. And who knows, maybe with Virgil Hunter, Andre Ward will be around from time to time. I mean, that would be a big bonus to be able to pick his brains and kind of learn from him. Just before we leave this one, though, you mentioned it before. It's not to be underestimated, the kind of lifestyle change and move going from being in London, where you're near your family, or you're in Sheffield, where you're in the middle of your extended boxing family, because it was for such a long time, to going somewhere where you basically don't know anybody. I mean, they're long days. I mean, you've talked about this in the past. They're long days. You rent an apartment and you get yourself comfortable, and that's fine. But you train a couple of hours a day, and then what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit. I think it's different now when you got WhatsApp and you got social media. You can the world's more connected. Let's say, but nonetheless, physical human contact. We all want it, don't we? So it's like, as lockdown's proving, people are losing their minds. So, I mean, if Josh is in the gym at 10 o'clock in the morning sparring, I don't know what their routine is, but say it is 10 in the morning sparring, then he comes out 12, 1, whatever. It's 8, 9 o'clock now in the UK. Maybe gets a call, speaks to you know, his girlfriend or family or whatever. But it's a long day then till like 11, 12 o'clock or whatever. So, you know, I don't know, is he going out there on his own? Is he bringing a couple of people with him? You know, if he can bring a couple of people, that'd be great, because, you know, it's company, it's people to chill with and have the crack with in between your sessions and that. But, you know, everything comes at a cost, you know, and even though Buatsi's earning good money now, he's not earning Amir Khan money or AJ money, what they were at the time. So, you know, it's a chunk out of your purse, isn't it? So you want to make sure it's the right move. And you won't know until you know. You know, you've got to go out there and do the fight, and then you look back after and think, yeah, it worked, it didn't, or whatever.
Well, that's it. That was one thing I saw him say in the interview he did with Andy, which is something you often hear fighters say: "I'll get one shot at this, and this is the point now where I need to do this. I need to see if it works out or not." And we will see if it works out or not. We very much hope it does. And it's just interesting news. Like Matt, I think Virgil Hunter, personality-wise, is a good fit for him. So we wish those two all the best. So that wraps it up for this episode. Do get across to the YouTube channel and subscribe, and check out all the content that we've got up here. This week's podcast is with the audio podcast is with Sonny Edwards. That's going well. People are picking up on that one. Listen to it back myself this morning, and he just makes so many good points about what you need to do as a young fighter to try and drive your career. And he's somebody who I think we'll be seeing quite a bit more of actually in the media over the coming months. There's definite possibilities for him there, that's for sure. So stay safe, everybody. Have a good week, and we'll speak to you again soon.